Murli Notes, April 27th, 2022. In order to prove his points, Baba takes up well-known sayings that are frequently quoted and generally believed by devotees who are not able to understand that these beliefs are in complete contradiction with the concept of omnipresence. They are not able to conceptualize the difference between contradiction and paradox. This is the consequence of a Tamopradhan intellect. The saying goes, the soul and the Supreme Soul remained separated for a very long time, but ultimately there was a beautiful meeting through a broker. Souls are with him in the soul world and get separated by coming to earth, where they play their roles and become impure over time. Then they call out to God to come and purify them. Conventional Hindu philosophy, set out by Shankaracharya at the beginning of the Iron Age, introduced the concept of Advaita Vedanta. This concept is that all things are one and the same. Everything is God, everyone is God. There is no possibility of differentiation. By extension, this implies there is no difference between right and wrong. This concept of omnipresence, the concept of everything being Brahm or Brahman, pervades many Indian scriptures and is what Baba calls their Brahm, which means illusion, delusion, one of Baba's word plays. It is based on sense perception, which is also, by definition, illusory. The doctrine of Advaita Vedanta is overlaid on a more ancient concept of the unity of all things. Baba explains that in a different way, which I will set out in detail later on. This is the eternal interplay of God, souls, and matter, three very distinct energies that interact eternally and cyclically. Brother Jagdish Chandra Hasija wrote a book entitled The Eternal Play of God, Souls, and Matter about this. You may want to take a look at it. This is the origin and foundation of the Christian concept of God being immanent and transcendent. It is interesting that Baba addresses the simple, uneducated Hindu devotees. The scholarly Hindus are disconnected from the ancient beliefs, whereas the uneducated Hindu devotees are relatively disconnected from the scholarly philosophy. Their relationship with God is more emotional, whereas the scholar's relationship with God is more intellectual. Now, Baba is introducing a third way of relating to God, which is spiritual. Spiritual is neither emotional nor intellectual. However, people in general are not able to conceptualize something that is neither emotional nor intellectual. This is because the emotional and the intellectual are based on sense perception, that is, observable reality. And that doesn't include mathematics. Concepts are extrapolated from those perceptions, whether physical or subtle. Baba focuses on behavior because conventional morality is based on sense perception. The most basic is that people are either males or females. The most effective way to destroy this preconception is to assert that all are souls, points of light, non-material, non-physical, genderless, bodiless beings. You cannot be both soul-conscious and gender-conscious at the same time. This is a contradiction. This concept is also clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita. That means both the emotional and the intellectual Hindus have accepted this as true, but they act as if it were not true. This is another contradiction. One aspect of the third eye is that you are able to see that another individual is a genderless soul. If one could see that, then they would act on it. However, mostly they do not have the third eye, therefore they cannot see. The spiritual father teaches his spiritual sons. He says all souls are male. Why? It destroys the polarization of dominant males and dominated females. Baba is getting his students to quit accepting the socialization of being either dominant males or dominated females and the associated pecking orders. Obviously, there can be no greater challenge to the current and traditional social order than to challenge the patriarchal system. The consciousness of an individual is determined by drishti, which also means perception. This is referenced in another well-known and often quoted devotional belief: as is your drishti, so is the world. In current times, we call this projection. Body-conscious people project gender consciousness onto each other and are socialized from childhood to do this. This is called conventional morality. Baba talks about soul-conscious drishti, which means you intentionally and consciously project the consciousness of the soul on each other. This is only possible when the BK giving drishti is actually soul-conscious, which is quite rare. Shiv Baba used to do this through the eyes of Brahma Baba, and Avyakt Bap Dada would do this through the form of Dadi Gulzar. In general, the original and senior yogis of the Yagya could do this. BKs get busy telling others you are a soul, but the real practice is to tell the self, I am a soul. Without first acquiring soul consciousness, it is not possible to project soul consciousness on others. Our job is to look at others as souls to the extent that no one can see gender, color, religious affiliation, nationality, race, rank, language, and so on. Although this may be called easy Raj Yoga, but to actually be soul-conscious and maintain that awareness throughout the day is practically impossible. But Baba says it is possible. Therefore, we must make this effort. Human prejudice or bias is an attribute of body consciousness. People are socialized to be prejudiced and trained to be biased from childhood. This occurs through their parents and relatives, the education system, and the religious authorities. Therefore, Shiv Baba says, I am your father, your teacher, and your Sat Guru. By positioning himself in these three relationships, God can override the effect of socialization. It is only possible to take full advantage of this if you do recognize Shiv Baba. This is why Baba gives greatest importance to whether or not a BK has recognized him. Those who have actually recognized him, he calls real children, and those who go along with Baba but have not recognized him, he calls stepchildren. Those who have recognized Baba can claim the full inheritance. Others may claim something, but perhaps not that much. Om Shanti.